Good morning and welcome everyone to the event by Product Tank Pune. I'm Rupal Maheshwari, your host for today's event. I'm working as a product manager at MindBody, where I help shape products and business experiences in the wellness industry, and have been with Product Tank Pune community for close to a year now. For those who are new to this community or attending the session for the first time, a little, little history about Product Tank Pune. So it began in Feb 2019 by Amit Godbole, who has worked really hard with a pure intention of bringing product people together where they can learn and grow as a group. In this community, we all share experiences on different products, different industries, different backgrounds. And we're proud to say that this community is continuously expanding with more than 2,500 members, along with which we have hosted 20 plus successful meetups, which are powered by Vivo. So a couple of announcements before we kickstart our event. So in order to help the community members grow, we now have our very own job board, which is updated with the latest openings. I'll be sharing the link in the chat. The other, thing that I have to talk about is we have our monthly newsletters, which provides amazing insights about the key happenings around the world. So if you wish to get access to these, please subscribe. I'll also be publishing the link for the same in the chat. And as you all know, the topic for today's event is transitioning into product management by our very own Akshay Deshmukh, who is a product enthusiast, valuable member of Product Tank Pune community, and also an author of Zero to PM book. Akshay also blogs about product management and SaaS on his personal blog and has a curated collection of product management resources. He's a software developer turned product manager, currently working as a senior product manager at Zanello. He has been very focused and on helping people transition and grow in the space of product management. Akshay, over to you. Just before you start, there are a couple of housekeeping rules. So, as this will be a recorded session, for those who do not want to be seen on the in the recording, can turn off their cameras. And I would also request everyone to be on mute. If you folks have any questions, please feel free to post it on the chat. We will be taking the questions towards the end of the presentation. With that said, I would now request Akshay to take it away.
Thank you so much, people, for the introduction. And thank you, everyone, for taking time out and attending this session. First off, I really hope that all of you and your loved ones are keeping safe in these unusual times and taking care of each other from the safety of your homes. Uh, Today, I'm really excited to be talking about a topic that is really close to my heart. Uh, Product management is the tribe that I really identify myself with. And this is the tribe that I really want to see succeed. And that's why I'm really passionate about the topic that we have today, that is transitioning into product management. Uh, so what are we going to talk about today? I will basically begin with a quick brief introduction about myself. Uh, just a few more points to what, in addition to what Rupal just mentioned. And I'd like to address the state of product management in India. Uh, and then we'll take a look at a few different ways that people around have transitioned into product management, followed by the core skill set that is required for the PM job and different ways to develop these skill set. And then I'll share a few strategic and practical tips to plan your break into product management. And if time permits, we'll do some Q&A. All right, let's get started. So hello everyone, my name is Akshay Deshmukh. I'm a senior product manager at Zenrelo. Zenrelo is a B2B SaaS loyalty rewards platform aimed at helping retailers improve their retention rate. I have over 11 years of industry experience spanning across different domains like I started with commodity risk management as a developer, then moved on to e-commerce and social commerce, did a bit of endpoint data backup and recovery, and now in retail and B2B. Last year, I created a curated collection of resources for product managers that would help product enthusiasts put a structure to their pursuit of becoming a better product manager. It's hosted at 0 2pm.info. And I also wrote a book recently called 0 2pm. It's a very short book, just a 60 pages ebook, in the form of a very handy guide for aspiring product managers. Uh, but I'm sure that experienced product people will also find a few takeaways there. Uh, to talk about the state of product management in India, um for the longest period of time, India has been looked at as a services industry, right? Outsourcing and consultancy formed the backbone of the Indian IT industry, right? But a little over a decade ago, things started to change, right? With companies like Flipkart, Ola, Redbus, Snapdeal, Zomato, and Zoho, they paved the way for change, and more entrepreneurs started taking the leap of faith and trying their hand at entrepreneurship and building products out of India. And the recent success stories of Paytm, Byju's, Swiggy, Zerodha, and then the very recent one to enter the Unicorn Club, BrowserStack. These companies, these products actually drove the point home that quality products can be built out of India, and not just for the Indian audience. We can do it for the global audience right here from India. And global organizations have also become comfortable moving their product function to India. Uh, and I've been a part of one such organization where we drove the product function from India. Uh, now, what happens is when a product gets successful, when companies get successful, it catches a lot of eyeballs. The press wants to write about you. The analysts want to review you. People want to work for you, and they basically want to know what you did to make the product successful, right? And product managers being at the cynosure of being at the center of all the action that is happening while building products, they are the ones with the most context about how the product was built, what went into taking a certain decision. uh, and sometimes they get touted as the people who are calling the shots and making the decisions, and basically the ones responsible for the product, which is true. But this is also, this perception, this impression has also added a bit of a glamour to the role. And uh, because of this glamour, you see a lot of people wanting to be product managers, a lot of product managers everywhere around, which was unseen and unheard of just a few years ago. Um, another reason for this spectacular rise in the demand for PMs can be attributed to the business enablement that technology and the new trends in technology has facilitated over the past decade. Uh, and this business enablement is nothing but the new wave of digital transformation that we talk about, right? With trends like cloud, SaaS, ML, AI, blockchain, companies now feel the need to alter their traditional product development processes, right, for better efficiency and better productivity. And there is a need for a new breed of people who would have a very objective view of the markets, the problems of that market, and the the products that could basically be built to solve that problem. And this breed is nothing but what product managers are about. And that's why there is a huge rise in the demand for product managers these days. But just to put things in comparison, if you compare the state of product management with that of in the US, we are still, there is still a lot of discrepancy. A quick search on LinkedIn would tell you that there are over 6 million people employed in the US in one or the other product roles, as compared to just 1 million in India. And majority of this 1 million have transitioned into product roles in the past couple of years. And then also regarding the job openings, there are over 183K job openings currently in the US for product roles, and just over 14,000 job openings in India. So I think as far as the product management scene in India is concerned, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. There's a long way to go. And also in December, I took a survey. I ran a survey for product managers. I wanted to understand more about the transitioning process, uh, and the maximum number of years of experience that the most senior person in that cohort, the survey cohort, had was with 11 years of experience. Whereas uh, if you look at the product leaders in the West, take for example Marty Kagan, the guy we all adore and look up to when it comes to product management space. He began his product career in 1995. Yeah, Gibson Biddle. He began his career in 1991. Shreyas Doshi, he began in 2004. So the average number of experience that product leaders in the West have spent, it's a little up, it's upwards of 25 years. Whereas in India, the profession itself is a little over a decade long. So
Akshay,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt. A lot of folks are saying that your volume is low. Can you please come closer to the mic and speak?
sure, sure.
Thank
Is
you.
it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to move closer to the camera then. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. But it is better now, right?
Yeah. For me, it's better. Yes, but it can be like furthermore. Can you use a headphone or headset if you have it placed
Uh,
nearby?
Actually, I'm using an earphone. Let me just.
Uh,
Okay, please feel free to interrupt me if you're not able to hear me clearly, and then we'll see what can be done.
yeah, yeah. Uh, sure.
Right. So the survey that I conducted in December last year, it was primarily targeted at product managers, and I wanted to understand the different ways product managers around have transitioned into the field. And the survey helped me a lot to gain insights about the different ways people have transitioned into the field. Um, and over 60 people, 60 product managers from India took that survey, and a large majority a large majority of product managers uh, had uh, had broken into the field through an internal transition. So, and I also personally believe that internal transition is the most risk-free approach to breaking into the field. You don't have to forego your current salary. You don't have to take a salary cut. You are familiar with the product. You are also familiar with the people around, right? So it's the most hassle-free approach to breaking into product management. But uh, in order to make this move, you need to make sure that you have first developed expertise in your area of responsibilities, regardless of whatever department you are in. Uh, and then, your management or the decision makers who are going to make the decision about your move, they need to be comfortable putting you in front of customers. For that, you should have shown uh, some inclination and some tasks where you tackle customer problems, right? uh, so that's there. And then you should have shown you should have demonstrated certain product skills, like gathering feedback from the customers, relaying it to the product team, talking to the engineers to brainstorm solutions and stuff like that. So yeah, uh, that is the most risk-free approach to transitioning into product management. And many of the product managers around have broken into the field through this approach. Um, the second common way is to try and be a junior PM in a similar domain. Now, uh, the reason I say similar domain is because there are companies in a domain. There are companies who may be just getting started in that domain, and they may have identified a certain target customer base, and they may have identified their problems, uh, but they're still not there yet. So if they hire you, they would probably hire you not for the product experience, but you get hired for the vast experience that you have in that field that you bring to the table. uh, I've seen a couple of such transitions happen where people have had no product experience, but they were subject matter experts in their own domain, and they got into a product role. To exercise this move, you need to build domain expertise, right? And sort of try and be a subject matter expert in your domain. And uh, uh, and this move usually happens through networking and referrals, where you would have voiced your aspirations about wanting to break into the product role, and your network and your friends basically helped you break into the role. uh, the third one is taking the B school route, or the MBA route. But I mean, it's a bit riskier, given the exorbitant fees that B schools have, and this is not a magic bullet that will guarantee that you will break you will break into product management, uh, because most of the companies that come for campus placement are these are primarily for consultancy roles. And you need to, so if you're taking this route, even though MBA will make you go through the rigor of you know gathering most of these skills that a product manager would need, but you'd still need to develop execution and people management while you're on the job. uh, you could try and do product internships while you are doing your MBA in product companies, and particularly target product companies during campus placements. So that's one way to do it if you're taking the B school route. The fourth one is actually not a way to transition into PM. Uh, I just wanted to call it out here because I've seen people end up land a job in PM because they were entrepreneurs in their past life. I mean, why why be a product manager if you can be an entrepreneur? But uh, you know, while they built the company, it either got acquired or they could not scale it, so had to shut it down. But while doing that, they gathered the end-to-end experience of what actually a product manager needs to do, and that's how it became relatively easier for them to then look out for a role that would best fit their skill set and capabilities. So I just wanted to call it out here, not exactly the way to transition into PM, but I've seen people, you know, or I've seen entrepreneurs who have later on went on to become PMs. Coming on to the core skill set that is required for PMs, I recently I recently came across this concept of first principles. I'm sure many of you must have heard of first principles. First principles are basically the fundamental truth about anything. These are principles that cannot be derived further, right? Uh, and if you take the first principles thinking to uh, product management, you'd basically see that product management has got two first principles, right? The first one is basically product management is all about identifying customer problems and then figuring out the right products to solve these problems, which will help uplift customer lives. That is number one. And number two is basically rallying up all the resources behind you to build those products and get the job done, right? And the core skill set of product management actually aligns with both of these fundamental principles. uh, you have customer insight and strategy that aligns with the fundamental principle of identifying customer problems and building products to solve those problems, whereas you have people management and communication that is going to help you rally up the resources and bring your team together to get the job done. And then you have execution that will just put all of these things together, right? So the core skill set actually aligns with the first principles of product management. Let's take a look at each of these skill set, and how this can be built. The first one, and for basically for starters, people who are just wanting to break into product management or who are just starting their product management career, uh, I think execution is very important. Um, and by execution, execution in a nutshell means taking an abstract idea and doing everything that you can to turn that idea into a beautiful product experience, and then basically doing everything in between, right? And uh, by everything in between, what I mean is, you're defining the product specifications, you're defining the functionality, you are also helping the UX designers with the UX. You're taking a complex big project and breaking it down into smaller achievable milestones. Then you're basically handling the roadmap and doing taking micro decisions along the way to resolve blockers that your team may have, and prioritizing ruthlessly. So that's what execution actually entails and includes. uh, the thing is that to build execution, I mean, it cannot be taught. It cannot be taught. You have to go through the rigor of actually taking an idea to completion and shipping it. And if you want to develop execution, I think the best way is to just take any of the ideas that you may have and build a side project out of it. And while you're building it, just don't jump into the building part of it, but uh, the figure out the why, the who, and the how. Uh, you could also take 20% projects at your work, small initiatives at work while you're shadowing the PM, which would give you some peek into how these product managers operate. You could volunteer to take a stab at the mockups or the low fidelity designs, and then try and figure out how you're going to take a particular feature or a new product to the market, right? Uh, so how would you ensure that this product, when launched, has the maximum impact, right? So, and that is basically go to market strategy is just a fancy word for this, about how to take something to the market so that it has the maximum impact. So you can do all of these things to develop execution. uh, Moving on to the next one, uh, customer insight. uh, it's basically a deeper understanding about the mindset of your target customer base. um, uh, I personally struggle a lot with customer insight, uh, primarily because it is non-obvious. It's not very obvious. uh, Customer insight includes understanding of your understanding the motivations and the problems of your target customer base, uh, gleaning insights out of your customer conversations from different case studies, from different studies that have been done to study the consumer behavior, customer behavior. uh, you know Scrutinizing the feedback that you get from customers, uh, and different other teams, different other internal teams. uh, and that is what basically customer insight actually means. uh, uh, in order to develop customer insight, you need to be insanely curious. You need to be curious about everything that's happening around. uh, I personally like to follow this five whys technique. um, Five whys technique is about repeatedly asking why until you reach a point where you feel that, okay, that's it, that's the fundamental base to that particular feature request or that particular product idea. uh, it helps you refine your problem, the five eyes technique. Um, and when you basically just feel when you basically just go deep down up, and ask whys, it feels like peeling different layers of onion and getting to the core. And what you would realize is that when if you have an authentic dialogue with customers, and when I say authentic dialogue, it does not have to be with the intent of selling something to the customer or extracting something out of it. It should be with genuine empathy for the customer problems. And if you basically open them up to have them talk about problems that are not really related to your product, it would give you an understanding of it would give you an additional insight of where your problem ranks in the stack rank of different problems that the customer has. The problem that you are solving may be very exciting and may be very important to you, but from the customer point of view, it may not be a problem, right? um, so it will give you an additional insight into where your problem ranks in the stack rank of different problems that the customer has, right? Another thing that I've seen help me is hanging out in different forums where customers are leaving feedback about your product, or leaving review about your product, or asking how a particular thing needs to be done using your product, right? It will give you a lot of customer insight about how people describe their own problems in their own words, and how they are using your product to solve it. So the bottom line is that, I mean, it's really hard to get customer insight. It has to be earned through rigorous practice. Moving on to the next one, the strategy. Um, just a word of disclaimer here. If you're just starting out your product management journey, or aspiring to be a product manager, strategy is important. No two ways about it. But you will see that in your early stages, in your early career as a PM, execution, people management, and customer insight to an extent will basically eat up a lot of your time, and you'll basically be left with little or no time to do strategy. However, as you scale up and grow in your career, maybe 2 years down the line, you would be expected to do strategy. But in the initial years, the focus is going to be more on um, executing and rallying up resources to get things done. Uh, what strategy actually means is basically alignment with the vision. For that, your company needs to have a vision. It means a relentless focus on your target customers. Uh, you know, uh, there may be companies may be allured by the prospect of making more money if they go beyond their normal target, normal audience, their target customer base. But that also uh, derails the roadmap. So having a very strong product strategy ensures that you are moving in the right direction, right? What strategy also means is understanding of where you are, um, and then basically chalking out a roadmap that will take you to the destination. So in a nutshell, basically strategy is nothing but a map of a path that will take you from where you are to where you need to be, where a product is and where the product needs to be. That is the most, that is the simplest explanation of what a product strategy is. Now, in order to develop a strategic mindset, there are a few things you could do. Um, so, developing strategy needs a lot of context. It needs you to have a lot of context and information about your target market, their problems, your capabilities, and your strengths and your limitations. So, you know, you need to try and gather and assimilate as much information about all these things as possible. You could talk to your customer facing teams and just try and get a feel of what customers are asking, right? uh, what uh, what are the competitors that we are losing to, right? What are the features that are table stakes and that we don't have? You could also ask them how customers describe their problems. You could ask them what are the difficulties they are facing while convincing the customer about your product, right? uh, you could then use that and uh, you know just make a note of all of these things. You could talk to your internal team and identify operational inefficiencies, basically tasks which your team has to do repeatedly to serve a customer, because this will give you an objective view of what are the things that uh, what are your limitations as a team, as a product. uh, you will also need to research your competition. This will give you an insight into uh, how your competitors are strategizing, uh, what is the direction that your competitors are going in, and how can you differentiate yourself from the competition. What's your differentiator? And then basically asking tough questions, questions like, uh, you know the business that you are in and the product that you have, what will be the state of this product 3 years or 5 years down the line? Is the business model sustainable? uh, what's the industry trend that is most relevant to my product, that you can capitalize on, right? Who are the competitors that you are losing to? Why are you losing them? What's the how does the operational efficiency look like? What's the customer acquisition cost? What's the time to break even? So if you try and get answers to this, you will see, developing a strategic mindset, uh, basically, becoming more aware of where the product is, becoming more aware of how, what is missing as far as the alignment to the mission is concerned, and what you need to be what you need to do to align it with the, align the strategy with the vision. Because without execution, it almost feels like you're shooting in the dark, and trying to throw a lot of things at the wall and see what sticks. So that's about strategy. uh, Regarding people management, so I just wanted to clarify one thing here. As a product manager, you do not have any authority on anyone, right? People don't directly report into you. So people management is not management of resources per se, but what I mean to say in a nutshell, product people management means is that you are uniting different teams, and resources under a common banner towards a common cause, uh, and basically getting them ready for building a product that aligns with your product strategy, and convincing them that this is the right direction to take. What people management actually includes is, um, empathizing not just with your customers, but also with your team. um, you know uh, uh, you need to be you need to be someone who is aware of what your team is going through, right? Are they under undue pressure because of something that the sales has promised? uh, are they stretching their limits? Are they getting burnt out? And all that stuff, right? Um you also need to, so as a product manager, there may be times where you would feel that you'd feel very helpless because you can't do much to, you know uh, address a customer issue, uh, uh, because it's not up to you to uh, write code or basically execute a solution for the customer. At such times, you need to take that leap of faith and make sure that your team has a shared understanding of what the issue at hand is, or what the customer problems are, and then get out of the way. You need to play by your strengths and let your team play by theirs, and that is what effective delegation is all about, right? Um, as as a product manager, you're also negotiating almost all the time. You are negotiating with the stakeholders, you're negotiating with customers, you are negotiating with your development team for the ETAs. You need to do a lot of negotiation. Um, so that is something that you can also count under as one of the things that product people management entails. And then finally, like I said, that as a product manager, you don't actually have any authority. People don't report into you, but you need to actually try and build uh, influence without enforcing authority, right? Um, uh, Basically, the things that you do should demand respect from people, and they should basically feel that you know your stuff well, right? In order to get better at all these skills, I think it's all about you genuinely being a nice person and putting the interest of others first, right? It's basically trying and acknowledging the feeling of others, everyone in the team, the customers, right from the customers to the stakeholders to everyone in the team, right? Uh, it's about acknowledging the feelings and practicing listening. So if you're someone like me who loves to talk, you that needs to change, because most of the times we listen not with the intent of assimilating what the other person is saying or trying to gain a new perspective, but we listen with the intent of preparing our reply to it. And just as soon as they stop talking, you just blurt your reply out. uh, you need to practice active listening. And what active listening is basically trying to gain perspective and be open to different perspectives. um, you will see that the more different perspectives you have about any idea about any product or feature, you will be in a better position uh, to identify the caveats, to identify beforehand what the issues down the line could be. So that is important. Uh, then so shared understanding and co-creation is something that you can practice. Now what shared understanding and co-creation means is uh, that across the board developing an understanding of why the team is working on what it is working, how it is going to tackle the challenges along the way, and basically take the product to market. Across the board, having this understanding is what enables everyone to basically step up and do their best. And not just don't limit this understanding only to the team leads. Have the team leads explain it to their team members. And there may be obviously people who won't agree, but they should at least know that this is the direction that is being taken, and that is why they need to do something, right? Co-creation is basically involving everyone, getting their point of view, getting their feedback while developing, right? uh, I like to think of it as brainstorming different ways to do a thing, or getting everyone into a room and just throwing a problem at them and see what they have to say. uh, I personally like the use of words like we, more than I, and more than you. So whenever, for example, I have to get an ETA from the engineering team, I don't say that, can you please give me an ETA? I usually try and replace it with, can we please have an ETA for this? Do you think we will be able to get this done in the time that we have? What do what's your team's point of view on this, and stuff like that. So that is one way to evoke respect out of your team. I talk from experience, and this definitely works. Also, if you are someone who just uh, you know talks in the air, people will soon call out your bluff. So whenever you are making a proposal, you need to back your opinions and your ideas with data. The more prepared you are, the better impression it gives to people that you have figured out this, and they can basically rely on you when it comes to resolving blockers for this particular thing. So these are some of the things that you know uh, do to develop the uh, people management skill. On a side note, so you see a picture of the Avengers here. I just wanted to throw out a question to the audience about who do you think amongst the Avengers plays the role of a product manager? Uh, you could use the chat to just drop in your answers.
We have people responding with Captain America. Yeah, Captain America without doubt. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess we have a lot of Captain America fans here. Oh, we
Okay.
have
I'm a
Tony
big fan of
Stark as
Captain
well.
America too. Oh, okay. Honestly, so I'm a big fan of Tony Stark and Captain America too. But if you ask me, I think the real product manager is not even in the picture. The real product manager is basically Nick Fury, who assembled this team together, gave them a cause, and then basically got out of their way. Uh, if you draw an analogy with, you know, let's say a team of astronauts and a lead astronaut leading the team on a space mission, right? The product manager is not even on the ship. He's in the mission control on Earth, guiding them and, enabling them on their mission. So that's what product managers do. They basically develop a shared understanding, they enable and facilitate their team, and then basically get out of the way and let the team play by their strengths. So yeah, that was about people management. And finally, communication. I think in a nutshell, communication for me, the way I understand is basically seeking and providing clarity, in a verbal or written form, it doesn't matter, but seeking and providing clarity is what communication is all about. For example, when you are communicating to the stakeholders, they might not need to get into the details of who is working on what, or what are the challenges you're facing with the architecture and stuff, right? So you need to make sure when you communicate to the stakeholders, you give them a clear, uh, clear update with the context that with just enough context that they need. You don't have to just throw a lot of things at them. Uh, what I also think is that an effective communicator is one who takes a complex thing and then just transforms it into something more consumable and more simple for their team to understand. And uh, you know this is something that I like to think of as my strength. And I speak from experience that this is something that is appreciated by everyone in the team. If you can take a very complex thing, from a 10,000 feet height, if it looks very overwhelming for your team, if you take that thing and if you just simplify it and just try and try and unoverwhelm them, that will be appreciated by your team a lot. And this comes with also giving them a very succinct and clear, concise version of the why behind something, about why you're building something, why we are doing something, right? So that's what effective communication is all about. In order to communicate effectively, I feel that it is important for you to first seek clarity for yourself. If you are not convinced, or if you are not clear about something, it becomes very hard for you to convince the other person, right? Whereas if you're 100% sure and convinced and very clear about the direction that your product is taking, about the new feature that you want to build, it becomes easier to it becomes easier to relay that conviction to your team. Engaging in dialogue, engaging in a healthy debate, not from the intent of winning that debate, but from the intent of either convincing the other person or getting convinced yourself. You should also keep that option open of you getting convinced as well, right? And you should also have that in you that even though a lot has gone into taking that decision, if you get convinced otherwise, you need to actually work backwards and try and convince all the others that okay, we faltered, maybe this is not the right direction to take. This is an additional insight that I got from a different other people, and I am now convinced about it. So you need to keep that option open of you also getting convinced during the dialogue and debate. um, then you know, whenever you propose ideas and mm, whenever you address your team, um, uh, if you talk, if you just have a lot of talk and no substance, people will lose interest immediately. So I like to use visuals to communicate my ideas. Very crude, low fidelity mock-ups of what I'm trying to do. That is something that makes your communication more impactful and efficient. Uh, I can't emphasize enough how important writing is for product managers. Uh, there are companies who work in an asynchronous manner and rely on long, lengthy written documents. Um, and that is where writing could come in handy. Writing helps you get clarity of thought. It helps you crystallize the ideas that you have in your mind in a tangible format. So you could practice writing regularly to improve to become an effective communicator. So that was about the skill set that you need to develop to become a better PM. A few things about how you can plan your transition. And the first and foremost thing that I would recommend to all the PM aspirants or people just starting out in the field is to take a piece of paper or your favorite note taking app and jot down a few lines, a couple of paragraphs about what is it about product management that excites you, right? And your understanding of the product management function, right? Because to many, product management may seem like a very shiny job. It may seem like a very impactful job, um, uh, and you may be infatuated to the glamour that the profession has. But honestly, on the inside, it's a very hard slog. It's a fulfilling profession, no matter, no two ways about that, but it's a hard slog. I mean, look into the eyes of a PM who is struggling to achieve product market fit, and you would realize his pain. Um, so you need to be very sure what you are getting into. So this exercise of writing down what is it that excites you about product management will help you evaluate your strengths and see if you are if you are ready to make that transition. And it will also show you the mirror in terms of the gaps that you need to fill to break into the field, so that then you can chalk out a plan to make the transition.
Um,
uh,
Akshay, we have a lot of questions from the
sure,
audience. So we have 1 minute more to go over the rest of the slides, and then we'll start taking the questions. Does that sound
sure,
okay to
sure.
you?
Yes, perfect. Yeah, I'll try and cover the rest of the slides.
Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, about planning the how, I think you need to approach this just like how a product manager would approach the product strategy. So when product managers do product strategy, they have a vision, mission, goal, and initiatives, right, which then translate into a roadmap. You need to approach your pursuit of becoming a product manager just like how a product manager would do strategy. So basically, if here is an example of how you could do it. So the vision for yourself is to have a happy life, right? And the mission could be to live a fulfilling life doing what you love. And for that mission, to achieve that mission, your goal could be to break into product management in the next couple of years. And then the initiatives that you could take to achieve that goal could be upskilling yourself, building credibility, and networking, right? And then you can just break this up initiatives down into different action enable items, and work on them over a period of time. uh, you also need to make sure that you build some credibility by one of the ways could be to uh, build side projects in the open. uh, Basically make your aspirations about moving to PM very clear with in your circle, in your team, and everywhere. uh, you could volunteer for projects at your work, and projects that would give you exposure to product management. uh, I'm a big fan of using social media to show off your product chops. So you could do that as well to build credibility. The more credibility you have, the better are your chances of breaking into a product role without prior product experience. Uh, Networking is kind of a big deal, but not the kind of networking where you would go to an event, hand your visiting card with both the hands, and then promise to follow up and never follow up. What I mean is by networking here is that you need to identify product managers who are putting their stuff out there, and and identify product managers whose work you most closely relate to. You could talk to them and make them turn them into champions for your cause. Try and gain different perspectives, gain engage in different product conversations. You could also try out reaching out to the founders of startups that you wish to work for. Sign up for the product, use it, study it, and then talk to the founder about how it can be improved. basically network your way through this, and then you could also use your network to practice mock interviews and stuff. uh, this is important. This is, I would suggest taking the unconventional route. The conventional route is to basically, when you have enough confidence that you now can break into PM, the conventional route is to go to a job portal, find out a job, and apply for it using your resume. The unconventional route is basically through referrals, by doing something that will just you just get the eyeballs of the hiring manager. Here's an example I came across recently. So there was this guy who just sent a meme through an email to this hiring manager who was hiring for a product intern. And if you go and see that thread on Twitter, you'd see that the hiring manager did not even take a look at the resume and directly shortlisted the candidate for an interview. So 9 out of 10 times, if you take the conventional route, your resume will end up, being sidelined. So you need to knock doors using thoughtfully crafted cold emails, cold DMs. Cold emailing is like exercising. A lot of people know it's beneficial. A lot of people talk about it, but not many people do it rigorously and religiously, right? And then if things don't go your way, don't get disheartened. Just seek feedback to improve upon it. Don't let any conversation that you have with a company or product without getting feedback from them. It will help you improve and identify the areas that you need to work on. And then if you be persistent, if you keep on improving yourself and building product sense, it is just a matter of time that uh, you know it's just a matter of time that you will break into product management. uh, Product management, like I said, it's a hard slog, and the pursuit of becoming a product manager is even harder. But I can promise you that it is going to be a very fulfilling career. I guess that's all I had. um, that's all I had from my side.
Thank you, Akshay. This was an amazing presentation, and a lot of people have actually appreciated the presentation, the effort that you've put into making this one. We have a lot of questions coming up, so can we take the questions now?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from Girish. He's asking people management or people leadership. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I see a lot of overlap there, right? uh,
Mhm.
See, when you say people leadership, it kind of implies that you're thinking of yourself as a leader. A leader is someone that people make and not you make yourself, right? And that's what I said. That's what I mentioned in people management, right? You have to demand respect from your team. They will be the one who will make you the leader, right? If you just go down history, or any organization for that matter, the best leaders are the ones uh, who who didn't actually want to be a leader. It was their team uh, who make them realize that they are the ones who should be leading the team, right? So yeah, I mean, that's my thought about people leadership and people management.
Yeah, I agree to that. We have another question from Anvay. He's asking, good technical skill is good to have or a must have skill for a product manager.
It actually depends on your interest, how deep you want to get into a thing, right? I've seen people with limited technical skills but amazing storytelling skills, uh, you know, do well in product management. My personal preference is to go deep down and try and understand and get into the weeds of something,
Mm-hmm.
because somewhere down the line it's going to help me in my conversations with different people. So it actually is a personal preference, is what I would say.
Okay, but it's not mandatory for everyone to have it. Like you can have it if
It's not
you
mandatory, yes.
desire to have that skill set, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Um, Another question from Anupama. How does you find internship opportunities to work in product management?
Sorry, could you please come again?
Anupama is asking, how do you find internship opportunities to work in product management?
All right. So, so you have like I said, I mean, there are a lot many product leaders who are active on social media, on LinkedIn, on different people. You need to chase them down, and not in a very spooky and not in the form of a stalker, but you need to get their eyeballs. You need to. So I have a friend, the very first person I kind of helped transition into product management. She actually wrote a cold email to this director of product management at a company, uh, and she carved out the product internship opportunity for herself. That lady was not actually hiring for product internship, but she wrote a very exquisitely crafted cold email, got into onto a call and convinced that person that, hey, I know I could be of a lot of value to your team, and that's how she ended up in becoming a product intern first, and then went on to become a product manager. So
Nice.
I mean, I don't mind having a placard and going in front of the office and holding that, okay, these are the skills I have. Why don't you try me? Right? You need to take the unconventional route at times.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Instead of a normal resume, you could try and put up a video resume, right? Uh, you could try and have a short video of yourself, and with all that stuff, you do on Instagram, where you just point out and then
Yeah.
different things start popping up. You could do something of that and just send it over to hiring managers and see what wonders it works for you.
Yeah, it just reminds me, like a couple of days back, I saw this post on LinkedIn, a designer who wanted to get into, cred company, and he actually posted some amazing designs, some amazing interfaces. He played around that a bit, and he tagged Kunal Shah and the designer, the head designer in cred, and said, "I just want to, take the internship at your firm, but before like." Instead of sending out the traditional resume and all of that, I thought this might be an interesting way to look at my capabilities. And then there was comment from Kunal Shah that, please contact us and so email address.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Right,
I mean, I can totally relate when you said this.
right, right.
Okay. There are a couple of more questions, Akshay. So, Rahul asked, like, does a strategy PM not a part of customer interactions quite often?
Does a strategy PM?
Uh, they are as strategy PMs not part of customer interactions quite often.
I mean, they are. I mean, as a product manager, customer interaction is basically your fuel. I mean,
Right.
if you are a customer, if you are a product manager that is not interacting with with your customers on a regular basis, you will lose out on customer insight and strategy soon. You'll not have enough meat when putting together your roadmap, and you'll particularly just be a tactical PM and not a strategic PM. Tactical PM is someone who just relies on whatever the next customer is asking for, or
Hmm.
whatever is going to help the sales team close the next big deal, right?
Right.
uh, for you to put together strategy, you need to have as much customer interactions as possible, not primarily from the point of view of understanding the problems, but it could be simple for a solutioning exercise, right? Even
Yeah.
during that solutioning exercise, you'll still figure out a lot of things about the problems that they are facing.
Right. Right. So, as product managers, we often get these last minute requests from the sales team, from the marketing team, like, we have committed this feature to the customer, and how do like can we get an timeline or commitment from the team? So, how do you balance these random requests along with your roadmap?
Right. So actually, this is a perennial problem for all the product managers.
Yeah.
Last minute requests actually are very, I mean, I cringe at these requests. Uh, but the thing is that you have to understand that uh, you have to take into consideration different factors, the ticket size of the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, Whether this thing, the last minute request, whether it is a one off, or do you foresee this thing benefiting a larger customer base, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
see merit in this, if you really see this being a very generic request that could be used to service your other customers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I would definitely go ahead and research more about it. and probably have it in the roadmap. But if it is one off, I usually try and push back and get professional services involved, and
Yeah.
see if there is a way to not have it in the product and corrupt it, and it's something that can be built without even touching the current roadmap.
Right. Right. We have one question from Bala Ganesh. He's asking to have a strong foundational skills of a PM while transitioning. Is it advisable to pursue any course online? If so, there are so many out there. Any recommendation or key points to differentiate among them?
uh, so when you're starting out, I think, and this is purely my personal opinion, when you're starting out, it is very important for you to not get overwhelmed by the plethora of frameworks and the plethora of mental models that some of these courses tend to suggest. It is very important for you to do things that will build up your confidence, to consume material that you feel you understand better, that you feel that you can relate to better, and not just get bogged down by the terminologies that some articles and courses throw at you, right?
Mm.
uh, there are very good courses out there. I mean, I've not done any, so I can't actually uh, suggest one. Uh, but I think people who have, you could basically try and talk to people who have taken that courses and see how it worked for them. But
Yeah.
like I said, product manager is more of a on the job kind of an on the job training kind of job. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, you'll need to be a lot more hands on. So a course might give you direction, a course might give you resources, but this is something that will come through practice.
Right, right. So, Yusuf is saying that he's doing a course from Upgrad, and it's helping him a lot. So, Yusuf, can you please share the name of the course for the audience to know and get the benefits for them as well? Okay. We have a funny question from Mayur, and he's asking, does age matter for PM roles? What would be an ideal age, ignoring the outliners of the course? So, Akshay, when
uh,
did you transition?
Not
What
really, not.
age were you in when you transitioned into product management?
I transitioned 5.5 years ago. That puts me around 26, 26 and a half. I was 26
Okay.
and a half when I transitioned to management, but I don't think so. If you so it's a problem with our culture. Uh, the way we perceive success and the way we perceive successful people. What we think is that if you are someone with 20 years of age and you are still an individual contributor, you are not successful, right? We, our parents, associate success with the number of people you manage, right? When you tell this to your parents that, okay, I have a team of 20 people working under me, they feel that, okay, now you're successful, right? Uh,
Yeah.
to transition into product management at a later age in time, I think it's entirely possible. There are people, I mean, I've not seen anyone in India, but I've seen examples of people from totally different fields uh, take up product management in the later half of their life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
beyond
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
uh, so entirely possible. uh, I don't know how to do it, but
Okay. We have an interesting question from Girish. He's asking any insights on time management skills required to become an effective PM. I guess we all struggle with that.
I struggle with a lot. I mean, see, honestly, Girish, if I tell you about this thing and I'm not practicing it, does not make me a very good person, right? Just makes me so. Like to practice what I preach. Time management is something that I struggle with a lot even now. Every day is a struggle as far as time management is concerned. What I try to do is at the start of the day, just take a look at the emails that I have, just take a look at the tasks that I had left yesterday, and write it down on a piece of paper. I prefer a piece of paper. Sometimes I do it in Notion, but uh, once I have a list of tasks, I basically try and rate them about what is the impact of that task. If there is an email that the CS team is waiting for me to reply on, and if it's very urgent, I actually try and wrap that up soon, right? However, if if it's an investigation or a research that I need to conduct, I usually park it for the later of the day when I don't have much emails to reply to. So it depends on your personal preference. I've seen people just block their time on calendars to do stuff and to manage their time better. I'm yet to try and do that, but
Yeah.
I mean, basically just block time on the calendar for particular things and just not uh, get distracted whenever something that is not related to the task arrives.
Yeah, I have tried doing this because a lot of times, as product managers, we get pulled in meetings that generally do not show up on
Right,
our calendar. It's an ad hoc request,
right.
so you cannot deny being there, but it disturbs the task that you have on hand. So
Correct.
yeah,
And I'm actually not a very big fan of meetings.
yeah.
I think we are at a cusp of revolution where most of the work is happening asynchronously, right? With everyone
Mhm.
going remote, uh, you know, I think asynchronous work is basically the need of the hour. So the other day I was reading about Stripe, and the product culture at Stripe actually requires the product managers to write very long, lengthy documents, jotting down a deep understanding of the problem, of the solution, everything. These are
Mhm.
like product documents, product specification documents spanning over 50-60 pages, right? And they rely mostly on asynchronous communication. Gumroad. Gumroad is an entirely remote company. They have no meetings. They have a public roadmap, and they also have a Notion document on how they function. And it's completely asynchronous. They do it on documents.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
only get into meeting when there is need.
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Akshay, for this amazing session. I'm sure it was a good learning for the folks who are aspiring to be product managers and a good refresher for those who are already one. I surely enjoyed it. With that, before we close our event for today, we have a couple more announcements.
Rupal,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I just want to make sure that I give credits where it's due. So if anyone's wondering where I got the illustrations from, they are from Undraw and StorySet, and the memes were generated using a meme generator. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's about it.
Thank you so much. Okay. So before we close down our event, I would like to talk about our upcoming event, which is on 26th, next Saturday, and it's on Ace Your LinkedIn Profile, LinkedIn Presence by Sukanda Chaudhary. So please do attend this workshop. It's gonna be an amazing one. I'm sure in a world where we are living in, the era, the online presence matters a lot. So please do join this particular session. You'll soon see the post on the social media platforms. Please register yourself. I would like to appreciate all the efforts from our volunteers. So thank you, Bansi, Harneet, Satya, Pratik, Abhijit, Padmana, Pradnya, Shan, Naveen, and everyone was given a lot of time to make sure the events are successful. And thank you for everyone to join in. We had such an interactive sessions. The questions that you guys asked, they were so insightful. Uh, so thank you so much. Uh,
This
uh,
mic or Baba?
um, Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Please go
Uh,
ahead.
Akshay has requested that he would like a feedback on the presentation that he gave. So I'll be sharing the link in the chat. Please, give him that feedback. It will be helpful for him. So I'm sharing the link in the chat. And we also have an upcoming events, like you'll be hearing a lot more about it in the future events. It's on the GMI, the Great Manager Institute. So we have partnered with this particular institute, who will be offering courses on their platform for product managers to become great people managers as well. So like Akshay also spoke, that you have to be involved with a lot of people day in day out. You have to convince everyone, get an understanding from everyone, and make them understand. So it is an equally important skill set to have. So I'm also sharing the link of this particular initiative. So what you will all need to do is basically go on the link and register yourself. You'll be hearing from the GMI folks around it. That's all from my side. Amit, would you like to give some closing notes?
Hey, thank you everyone for joining us today. Uh, Product Tank Pune has been an amazing place. And maybe a correction. It was started by a lot of people, not just me. Akshay, Satya, Bansi, uh, Sachi Gupta. She's now senior PM at Atlassian. They were the pillars who started the community. Uh, I just tagged along. Um, and we are able to bring in amazing product management content because we have more people like you. I would also like to mention at this time, not exactly uh, a friend who started Product Tank Pune. His name is Ashish Wagmare, a dear friend of us. We lost him due to COVID, so yeah, our prayers are with his family. Uh, we are bringing in more content and we are expanding. We also tried up with a job board on so please have a look at procircle.io. Have a look at it, give your reviews, give your feedback. And if you have any questions for us, do let us know. Uh, Apart from the initiatives, we are always up for a good chat on how you can transition or how you can move up in your career. And is product management the right path for all of us? So please do let us know if you have anything. And yeah, we can do informal chat.
Right. So, Amit, I forgot to mention about the promotion that I have for people who attended this
Oh,